How hard would it be to get state retaliation laws criminalizing punishing retaliation against parents and students who advocate for students in public education? Now, I'll get to the extremely difficult, if not impossible part of that, but at the same time, it's already embedded into 504. And because your student with an IEP enjoys the civil rights protections of 504, which also extends over to parents, advocates, and teachers. There's more than a few lawsuits if you search, guys, where teachers, specifically one that I'm thinking about, was an adaptive PE teacher up in Washington State that was retaliated against when she called out the school district, specifically the principal and I think an assistant superintendent that then went on a campaign against her, who had an impeccable record, this teacher, with regards to her, reports. And then after she advocated for her students, because, for a myriad of reasons, her reports all started being sour that she was not a good employee and it ended up impacting her negatively with her job. I think they ended up railroading her to where she ended up leaving. She filed based upon that retaliation ability that she has under 504 as an advocate for her students. And she ended up getting millions of dollars as far as a damages award for that retaliation. But you have to be able to prove that retaliation, guys. It's not enough to just sit there and say, oh, they're retaliated against me. I see retaliation all the time. But I tell you what, it's gut feeling retaliation. It's nothing I can prove, because schools are very savvy at being able to sidestep making it very obvious and apparent that they're retaliating. So you have to make sure that you have the evidence to support the retaliation, not just saying they're retaliating against me. All right. Even though I'm telling you, I've been doing this 15 years. I know what retaliation is when I see it. As an attorney, being able to prove it, guys, I have my argument all day long. I have the parents' argument all day long. I can sit there and say, I've been retaliated against. I had a superintendent in a state file a bar complaint against me. And, luckily my bar association told me I didn't even need to respond. They responded on my behalf and told the superintendent exactly where to go, because I had every right to defend my clients. I had every right to advocate for my clients. Just because he didn't like it, but trying to waste my time and try to damage me in that way, of course it was retaliation. Now, do I have a mechanism to sit there and come back on him? Well, no. I know what it was. I made his life miserable after that because, now he pissed me off. So it's just one of those things to where you need to be able to prove it. And that's difficult when it comes to governmental people. Because like I said, though I have my argument, though you have your argument, the school will have theirs. Their attorneys have their bite at the apple. They have their argument, which are called defenses. All right. And this is where they wrap you up. What are reasonable defenses for some of the stuff that the schools do, like mandatory reporting on parents when they're just BS claims? Happens a lot. Sicking the police on parents or making them feel bullied and unwanted. Yeah, that happens all the time. But is there a logical defense or an excuse that they can throw out there that just a little smidgen, a federal judge will give it a lot of deference? Because they give government people more deference than they give other people. Why is that? Because whether we like it or not, people in the courts, our hearing officers, our cops, our fire people, it doesn't matter. They're all in the same big club, and that is they all work for government. And I think a lot of them think other people wouldn't do this. Other people aren't this crappy and petty and immature and corrupt. Yes, they are. But that's the problem. So make sure that you're able to prove it. Now, outside of 504 and the mechanisms to use that as a route for corrective action, if I'm reading your question correctly, can you go to your state legislature and have them sign on to legislation to tighten and create state law specific to hold school people accountable for retaliation for parents and advocates in this area, along with students? You could, but I have an office in 3 states. Across red and blue states. I practice across red, blue counties, small cities, rural areas, urban areas. Doesn't matter. And I'm telling you, I haven't seen a difference between any of them. They love their version of government. They love their version of enforcement. They love their version of police action. And so I have yet to see a legislature that would be receptive or willing to tighten any kind of consequence on schools when one of our biggest problems is even holding them accountable to base rules. Okay? So any kind of enhancement that would have criminalizing teachers, forget it. They're not going to do it. Guys, they're giving them immunity. They have immunity from lawsuits in the mass majority of situations. So why would they ever criminalize teachers? They're not going to do it. Most of our states are infatuated with police powers. Okay? It's their power, police powers, you know? It's abusive. Yet they give themselves the power to abuse through the police powers. They don't want to give it to you to protect you from themselves. Themselves being government agents. That's just the reality. And yeah, if you had a big enough people's movement that scared the bejesus out of your state legislators that this item is so critical to everybody in your state, then yeah, they would do it. If they felt like it would cost them their power position, yeah, they would vote for it. Absolutely. But I'm telling you, most of our states, and especially in our rural counties, the largest employer is the school district. In our cities, small cities, the largest employer is the school system. And who do you think that your legislator or your senator is going to listen to when it comes to attempts to criminalize teachers and administrators for retaliation? When there's a lot of there are gray areas that they can hide behind as to why they do what they do. Like I said, it's hard to prove retaliation. I know it happens all the time. I see it all the time. It's just very, very almost impossible to prove definitively.